Every night, there dog would scratch the wooden floor right next to the babies. Creep. Same spot, same time, over and over. At first, they thought it was anxiety, then maybe attention seeking. But when they finally discovered the reason, they couldn't move. Their blood ran cold. Henry looked at always believed their home was the safest place in the world. Nestled in a quiet neighborhood just outside Portland. Their modest story house held the laughter of newlyweds, the scent of fresh coffee every morning, and most recently the soft cups of their firstborn child, baby Nor. And then, there was Charlie, an adopted labradoor. Mich with a calm temperament and an almost uncanny ability to read emotions. Charlie had been part of their family long before Noah's arrival. It said, especially while they decorated the nursery, followed Henry from room to room during the pregnancy, and stood like a silent guard outside the bedroom door each night. Loyal, gentle, always watching. Which is the one? Scratching started, they didn't know what to think. It began a week after Nor was born. Every night, sometime between midnight and 2 часа ночи, they would hear it. Soft but persistent scratching coming from Noah's room. Not frantic, not aggressive, just a steady, rhythmic scraping of claws on the hardwood floor beside the crib. At first, they dismissed it as restlessness. Charlie, after all, was adjusting to. Maybe he was anxious. Maybe he missed being the center of attention. But the behavior continued and intensified. One night, Luke got up and found Charlie staring at the floor next to Noah's crib, pewing gently at a specific section of the floorboards. Tail still, ears back. When Luke tried to coax him away, the dog didn't budge. He simply looked up with eyes that seemed to plead rather than explain. They tried everything. Longer walks, more playtime, even keeping Charlie downstairs. But when they blocked him from the nursery, he would hang at the door for hours, desperate to get in. And when they let him back, it returned immediately to that same spot, scratching, stirring, sometimes even growling under bitch's breath. By the end of the second week, Henry was losing sleep. Luke had started checking the baby monitor 3 or 4 times a night. Charlie's behavior, once a minor concern, had become a silent alarm they could no longer ignore. Something was wrong. They just didn't know what. Yet, by the end of the third week, the tension was no longer so true. Henry was running on 4 hours of sleep a night. Her eyes shadowed, nervous, frayed from the constant middle of the night. Look, usually the calm one had begun snapping at things that old normally bother him. A misplaced battle, the microwave beeping. Too long, the creak of the floorboards in the hallway. By the baby that was keeping them up. It was Charlie. Every night at almost exactly the same time, 1 час 17 минут ночи, the soft sound of claws tapping against wood cot through the baby monitor. And every night, Charlie could be found in the exact same spot, right beside Noah's crib, pouring slowly and methodically at the floor. It wasn't frantic. There was no painting or pacing. Charlie wasn't trying to get attention. He wasn't even looking at them anymore. One day, entered the room. He was fixated on the floor, right on that one plank. Look it, tried lifting it once, thinking maybe there was a loose board or something stuck beneath, but aside from a small layer of dust and a few forgotten screws from that ribs assembly, there was nothing visible, at least. One morning after another restless night, Henry sat in the nursery holding Nor. Bouncing him gently in her arms while staring down at Charlie, who was lying on the scratched patch of flour. Hit on. H.S. pause. Eyes open. Is trying to tell her something, she whispered more to herself than to the baby. I just didn't know what. That day, Luke installed a second baby monitor. This one with motion tracking and infrared. He enrolled it not at the crib, but directly at the spot on the floor Charlie kept returning to. They waited. The footage from the first night shot nothing out of the ordinary. Charlie entered the room quietly, walked to the same spot, scratched for several minutes, then lay down, as feet on the floor. But on the second night, things changed. Around 1 час 15 минут ночи, Charlie entered the nursery. As usual. But this time H.S. ear kid. Before he reached the crib, he paused near the doorway, stared toward the flower with southern intensity, then let out a guttural growl, not loud, but unmistakably. Then the scratching began, more urgent this time. When Luke returned the footage and enhanced the audio, he noticed something else. At the exact moment Charlie started growling, there was a faint clicking sound, rhythmic, mechanical, almost like a soft tap coming from under the floor. The sound lasted exactly 16 seconds and 10 silence. That night, Luke didn't sleep. He sat in the nursery with Charlie. Laptop in his lab, baby monitor feet open. When the time came, 1 час 17 минут ночи, Charlie stood up suddenly, staring again at the flower. Luke held H.S. breath, pressing H.S. ear toward the flower boards. At first, nothing, but then he heard a tea, barely audible, like the ticking of an old watch. Click, click, click. It came from beneath the flower boards, directly under the crib, and it stopped just as suddenly as it had begun. The next morning, Luke called a contractor friend, asking if he could come by and check the flower with a fiber optics camera. He didn't explain everything, just said he thought there might be wiring or a vent issue below the nursery, something cold. When the man arrived that afternoon, he drilled a tiny hole between the flower boards right where Charlie had been scratching. He inserted the scope slowly, as glued to the monitor. Looks like an old crawl space, he muttered. Real narrow. Probably just a maintenance shift or dock to work. No light. Down there. Wait. He paused. Look leaned closer. What? Something metallic. Hold on. Let me rotate it. The image on the screen blurred slightly. Then sharpened. A flat panel, dull gray. Small red light, then nothing. The contractor frowned. That's not standard. It's not wiring. Looks like a motion sensor or hill, I don't know. Something electronic. Luke felt a chill move across H.S. spine. The crawl space hit been sealed years ago during the house's last renovation. They had never thought to check it, never had a reason to. But now there was clearly something down there, something recent. The contractor removed the scope and stood up. It called the previous owner if I were you. Maybe they installed something years back and forgot. Luke nodded absently, H.S. mind already racing. But when he checked the property records later that night, he discovered something unsettling. The house had only had one owner before. Terem, an elderly man who had died suddenly in that very room, and who, according to the sparse obituary Luke managed to dig up, had once worked as a sound technician for a private security firm. Luke stared at the screen, which is pulse racing. Was that panel a leftover piece of surveillance equipment? If so, who installed it? And more importantly, WHI was AT still active. He turned toward the baby monitor just in time to see Charlie pacing again, scratching. Not wildly, but with purpose. This isn't about it anymore. Something core. Someone was down there, and whatever it was still listening. After the contractor left, Lucas's mind was in a whirl of questions that refused to see through. He stared at the small hole in the nursery floor, a silent aperture into the unknown, and the soft clicking sound that had disturbed the night. Every detail from the previous evening felt charged with a hidden significance. The rhythmic clicks, the brief appearance of that metallic panel, and Charlie's restless, purposeful scratching suggested that the mystery ran deeper than any ordinary maintenance issue. That night, Luke sat alone in the nursery with the baby monitor on, BCS, eyes fixed on the darkened spot where the cable had been inserted. The room was hushed, the only sound the steady hum of the heater and the occasional coo from baby nor. Charlie lay curled near the crib, BCS gaze turned fixed on the scratched floor. Luke told, shake the eyes and say that something was communicating, something electronic, perhaps activated deliberately rather than by chance. The next day, he decided to explore the possibility of an active device in the crawl space. In addition to calling the contractor, Luke gathered PCS on tools and set out to check the area thoroughly. With a compact flashlight in hand and a small mirror to inspect the darkness, he gently pried apart several floorboards surrounding the spot where the panel had been seen. On the scope, the narrow gap revealed a dusty, cramped crawl space filled with cobwebs and old insulation, remnants of a long-forgotten renovation. As he carefully navigated the confined space, VHS flashlight illuminated a curious detail. They are embedded in what appeared to be part of an old security system was the flayed, dull gray panel with a small red light that blinked intermittently as if sensing motion. Lucas's heartbeat quickened as he realized this was no ordinary piece of ductwork. The panels, persistent glow in the pitch darkness, though faint, hinted at an active process, a device still operational long after the previous owner had passed away. VHS curiosity mingled with a sense of foreboding. He wondered if this artifact had been installed intentionally to monitor something in the house, or if it was a leftover relic reawakened by a change in the environment. The hard truth slowly dawned on him. The sound he had recorded on the monitor was not random scratching. It was an encoded signal, or perhaps an alert emanating from this hidden device. With adrenaline speaking, Luke carefully repositioned the mirror to capture a clear view of the panel. It was then that he noticed something even more unsettling etched into the metal. A series of numbers and letters, faded by time, but still legible. They appeared to be an identification code, one that he could only assume belonged to the security firm that owns on the house. VHS mind raced as he considered the possibilities. Had the previous owner installed this device as part of a covert surveillance system? Was it meant to track movements or even record sounds? And WHI persist after HS's death. The combination of these questions made Lucas's hands tremble. Later that afternoon, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Luke went through the property records and told permits HS's parents had stored hidden in an old binder was a document from the late owner, a brief note from a private security firm indicating that a residual monitoring system had been installed in the main bedroom and nursery. The note had been long forgotten, but now Resonated with AI precision. The very technology that now imitates mysterious clicks was once intended to serve a purpose that had nothing to do with a wrestler speed. As the truth began to take shape, Lucas anxiety different. Into dread. The device was not malfunctioning or inadvertently activated. It appeared to be deliberately maintained by some residual programming. Had it been designed to trigger under specific conditions, perhaps it was set to alert someone if irregular vibrations or disturbances were detected on the floor. A warning system of sorts programmed to record even the slightest footsteps. That night, the clicking resumed, but now it was rich ringtone, as if the device hit recognized that it was finally being noticed, as Luke lay awake, listening intently to the rhythmic pattern. He couldn't shake the feeling that the sound was a message, a cry for help from the past, or perhaps a signal meant for a recipient long forgotten. Every tap of the red light's blink sent a shiver down Vich's spine. He realized that the device's purpose might be intertwined with events from years ago, a mystery buried in the house's dark history, waiting to be unrevealed. In the gloom of the nursery, with baby nor sleeping, soundly and Charlie caroled close by us. If urging him onward, Lucas determination solidified. He would uncover the secret behind the mysterious panel. Little did he know that what he would discover next would not only challenge everything he thought he knew about his family's home, but would also freeze him in shock, forever altering the quiet reality of their lives. That night, as the house settled into an uneasy slumber and nor slept soundly in his crib, Luke returned to the nursery with a determination that bordered on obsession. The mysterious panel, its tiny red light blinking in rhythmic cadence, called to him like a secret from the past, one that refused to be ignored. He sat on the cool hardwood floor, careful not to disturb the stillness of the room, and set up his laptop to capture every nuance of the device's sound. The steady click, click, click was no longer just another it pulsed with the presence of a long-forgotten story, one embedded in the very walls of his home. While Luke sat absorbed by the monitor's live feed and playback, the sound began to change. At first, it was the same mechanical clicking that had disturbed their nights, but soon it deepened, interspersed with a faint, almost imperceptible hum. Luke adjusted the sensitivity, straining his ears to decipher any pattern in the noise. Suddenly, amid the repetitive clicks, a series of numbers and letters, something like excuse or XMB, seemed to be encoded in the pouches. It was as if the device was not simply malfunctioning, but deliberately transmitting a coded message. Paul's quickened as he recalled the old binder document he discovered the day before. The note from the previous owner, signed by a private security firm, maintained a residual monitoring system installed for covert surveillance. Everything was starting to fit together. An electronic panel built into the sealed crawl space beneath the nursery, still active all these years, quietly logging disturbances and perhaps secrets. Unable to ignore the significance, Luke reached for his phone and called his mother. "Mom, I found something." A mysterious panel with a blinking light under no script. It seems to be transmitting a code. Maybe a serial number or a message. "Remember our old house records?" It maintained something like this from one grandpa. "On the place." His voice was laced with urgency and trepidation. "Horror." Responsie was cautious, tinge de visei. Hint of anxiety. Look, you know, I'm not sure what to think. Maybe it's just old wiring. But if it was installed by your grandfather's company, it might have been set for security or monitoring. I looked through the old files. Maybe here is more detail about it. Look, promised he would let her know what he uncovered. Left alone with the home of the device, he began to research. Further, scouring online archives and private security system manuals. Every piece of data he found suggested that such systems had been advanced for their time and that they might still have self-diagnostics or even recording features if left uninterrupted. As the minutes turned to hours, Luca's mind raced. The encoded message might not be a deliberate alert at all. It could be a self-test, a periodic update, or even a leftover trigger condition that was never reset. But one possibility kept nagging at him. What if the system was set to activate an alarm or record events under specific conditions, such as unusually quiet vibrations or even heartbeats, as it did in response to Charlie's persistent scratching earlier? The idea was unsettling. It would mean the device was still actively monitoring the room for disturbances, maybe even storing data on whoever was present. In the dim glow of the monitor, Luke found himself comparing the pattern of clicks with various security codes. Slowly, he began to suspect that the code represented a series of timestamps interlatched with location coordinates, a cryptic log of movement from when the system was installed, which is hard-hammered with the realization if this device had been secretly recording the nursery's environment all these years. What unspeakable secrets might it have captured? Was it merely logging minor disturbances, or had it documented more significant unknown events? The weight of each discovery pressed down on him as the blinking red light pulsed steadily, almost as if urging him on. Look, leaned back, VHS mind swirling with uncertainty, dread and not morbid curiosity about the house's hidden past. He resolved that by morning he would dig deeper into the old records at the local archive, determined to unearth the truth behind the residual monitoring system installed by his late grandfather's company. With that, Luke shot at his laptop. The haunting message of the blinking panel echoing in his ears. In that quiet moment, he knew his life was about to change forever, and that the flower's mysterious scratches, once dismissed as a quirk of a sensitive dog, were just the beginning of uncovering a secret that had frozen him in shock, and would alter his family's history beyond recognition. The following morning, with the weight of the previous night's revelation still heavy on his mind, Luke set out for the local county archive, a small, aging building tucked away in a quieter part of the town. The winter air was crisp and silent, the palace hinting at the slower approach of daylight. Every step he took toward the archive felt charged with anticipation, as if the very ground beneath him was urging him to uncover the forgotten secrets hidden in the deeps of his family's past. Inside the archive, the atmosphere was a mix of musty paper and subdued fluorescent light. Rows of filling cabinets and watered boxes lined the narrow corridors, each one holding stories from decades ago. Luke approached a section labeled Residential and Security Systems 1980-1990. PCS. Hard pounded as he sifted through documents, old permits, and handwritten notes. Eventually, he found a yellowed folder that bore his late grandfather's name. The man who had once owned their Current home. Vis trembling hints, he. Appended it. Witty needs brittle pages. Look discovered a cryptic memo from a private security firm. The note described the installation of a residual monitoring system meant to detect unusual disturbances in the home. IT explained that the system was programmed to log ambient sound and detect movement in designated areas. In this case, the nursery. More astonishing was a detailed reference to an electronic panel that could diagnostic clicks and even, under certain conditions, transmit a coded signal. The memo included technical specifications and an identification code that matched exactly what Luke had seen last night on the fiber optic scope. Luke felt as though the flower itself had revealed its hidden history. The encoded message wasn't a mere accident. It was an intentional part of the security system, a relic from a bygone era designed to alert a central monitoring station if specific conditions were met. The document also maintained that the system's primary function was to monitor for unauthorized access or disturbances with a secondary purpose of logging environmental conditions that could affect the home structure over time. As Luke continued reading, he found a series of neatly scrolled numbers that seemed to document the periodic test runs of the system. One of these tests was recorded on the very date the previous night's clicking. He occurred. The memo explained that the system would perform a diagnostics routine if the ambient noise level fell below a certain threshold, a feature designated to conserve energy in long, silent nights, but 10 a different. A notation written in red yes. Grandfather's on hint code say. If triggered after renovation, verify. For unexpected stimuli. Investigate. In detail. Luca's mind raced. The house had undergone a major renovation. After his grandfather's death, and the contractor had noted nothing unusual at the time. Yet now, the system was active, perhaps deliberately, perhaps by accident, and the mysterious signal it emitted was clearly more than a simple diagnostic. It was as if the system was trying to communicate to record a moment that was meant never to be lost. A chill ran down Luca's spine as he pieced together the implications. The scratching that Charlie exhibited on the floor might have been triggered not by mere habit, but by the electronic panel's activation, a subtle alert. Embedded within the very wood of the nursery, Charlie's behavior was no random quirk. It seemed almost as if the dog was attuned to a hidden disturbance, a secret pulse coming from beneath Noah's crib. Luke closed the folder slowly, feeling the magnitude of PCS. Discovery settled over him like a shroud. He scribbled down ODS feverishly, determined to document every detail. The unanswered questions began to multiply. Who exactly had designated the system? Was it merely a relic of an old security measure, or did it serve a more purposeful, even sinister role? HTFS. Grandfather's work being connected to other, perhaps more clandestine projects that now threatened to resurface, and what had finally triggered the panel. After all these years, as he stepped back into the cold daylight, the archive's heavy door creaking shut behind him. Luke felt both terrified and strangely compelled. There was no turning back now. The secret of the mysterious panel and its encoded message had become intertwined with VCS on life and the safety of VCS family. The creeping sense that the sound was a message meant for someone or something would not leave him. Determined to unearth every hidden detail, Luke vowed to follow every lead, even if it meant confronting long-buried family secrets and risking what little peace they had known outside as he walked to his car. The soft rhythmic echo of the panels Click still resonated in each's mind, a. Reminder that sometimes the choir test. Signals hold the deepest mysteries. Z. Evening. After leaving the archive with. The heavy folder in each's arms. Look. Zone shake the chill that chess. Discovery hit send spiraling through chess. Mind. Back at home. As dusk settled tent. The word outside grew quiet. He. Gathered each's thoughts in the nursery. The rhythmic sound of Charlie is gentle. Scratching echoed faintly through the flower boards, and it seemed now that every creak of the wood whispered secrets from the past. He sat on the edge of a worn armor car, baby Nor, sleeping soundly nearby, while Charlie lay curled up at the foot of the crib. The once overlooked behavior that hit plagued their nights was now interwoven with a mystery that hit roots deeper than simple pet anxiety. Look, he says, drifted repeatedly toward the small hole, drilled by the contractor, a portal into a long-forgotten crawl space. Earlier he'd seen that glimmer of a red light and the puzzling code etched on the metallic panel, and now his mind churned with questions that demanded answers. Who had installed such a system? What had it been designated to monitor? And had it continued to record events throughout the years, accumulating secret data that now could reveal hidden truths about their Hamis past. Desperate to make sense of it all, Luke decided that a more thorough investigation was necessary, one that would leave nothing to chance. The following day, armed with a digital camera, a resolution thermal scope, and a portable multimeter, he returned to the nursery. After baby Noah's morning nap, he carefully removed a section of the floorboard again, this time with new precision, ensuring that no damage would lead to further alarm. Gently, he inserted a specialized endoscope, equipped with an external LED light and a sensitive microphone to capture any residual activity in the narrow space below. As the live feed flickered onto each's laptop screen, the dark, dusty passageway came into view. The steady, rhythmic clicking that he had recorded before was audible again, but now it was interspersed with a pattern that suggested a repeated signal, almost like a digital timestamp. Luke froze for a moment, astonished by how deliberate the pattern seemed. He made detailed notes, timing the clicks and comparing them to non-electronic pulse sequences from security and monitoring devices. It was clear this was no random anomaly. The panel hit a programmed function, one that had been triggered under certain conditions, a self-test perhaps, or a coded response to minimal noise in the room. His heart pounded as he considered the implications. The effect that the system had been designated to activate in complete silence could mean that it was monitoring for unusual disturbances, potentially recording more than just the soft scratching of a wrestler's dog. Luke recalled the note from his grandfather. He'd written in the old binder. The note, in writing instructing, if triggered, after renovation, verify for unexpected stimuli. Investigate immediately. Now, as he analyzed the captured footage, he suspected that what he was hearing was an alert embedded within the very fabric of the house, a kind of dormant alarm that he'd reactivated in recent times, unable to contain his mounting anxiety and curiosity. Luke immediately contacted a local electronics expert, Paul Reynolds, a retired security system engineer who now helped neighbors troubleshoot old wiring and installations. Over the phone, Luke explained the situation in detail, describing the panel's blinking red light, the rhythmic clicks, and the coded sequence that hit repeated under the fiber птиц замерзли. Paul's voice grew hushed and serious. Look, based on what you're describing, 80. Seems that your house still has a literacy system, a monitoring network that was meant to alert the previous owners and now perhaps to log environmental changes in old systems like this. Sometimes the triggers remain active indefinitely if here not properly decommissioned. Paul range the a visit. Later that the VSVCS technical toolkit on here the men set to work in careful silence. Paul examined the panel and confirmed Lucas fears and suspicions. The system was original, dating back to the late 1980s, and was programmed to detect and record auditory and vibrational changes in specific zones of the house. It isn't meant to capture anything dramatic, Paul explained slowly as he probed further. But it could very well have recorded any anomaly in the renovation, and if someone were to access the stored data, they might find a detailed log of every minute sound or even human activity that occurred beneath your floors. The weight of this realization was nearly overwhelming for Luke. Not only did their home hold a secret, but it might also contain a hidden record of the past, perhaps even on savory incidents or inexplicable events that had been buried by time. The notion that the system might have captured voices, movements, or even sounds from beyond the ordinary unsettled him. I always thought those scratches were just Charlie's nerves. Luke murmured, shaking his head. Now I wonder if they were a signal, a response to something that only the system and perhaps the house itself could understand. Paul's face softened with a mix of pity and professional curiosity. It advises you to consider having the system fully deactivated if you don't need IT, he suggested. IT might be wise to remove IT entirely, especially if it's inadvertently recording more than IT should. But if you wish to keep IT for historical or security reasons, we should digitize the logs and seats on record. Luke agreed. Taubich's mind swirled with contradictory emotions. Fear of what might be discovered, but also a morbid curiosity to know the truth behind those mysterious clicks. As the afternoon turned to dusk, Paul left with VHS equipment, promising to return with a full readout of the data. Standing alone in the now early silent nursery, Luke felt the weight of secrets pressed onto VH's chest. The soft, rhythmic echoes of the panel seemed to speak directly to him, a reminder that, in the deepest quiet, some messages refused to be ignored. And as he listened to that incessant ticking, he wondered what truth lay hidden in the dark corners of his family's past, and what impacts those truths might have on its future. The day after the contractor's visit, Luke found himself consumed by a need to understand the mysterious panel's hidden history. A secret that now troubled beneath the nursery floor like an unspoken promise. That evening, when the house had grown quiet, and the only sound was the soft, persistent clicking of the panel echoing from below, Luke sat alone with HAS laptop and a renewed resolve to capture and decode every subtle nuance of the signal. He set up the endoscope once again, repositioning IT carefully so that he could capture a full, uninterrupted view of the cramped crawl space beneath the nursery floor. The red light blinked steadily, and the once familiar rhythmic clicks now seemed to follow a structured cadence, as though transmitting a series of timid messages. With his heart pounding, Luke began to record the audio. Each click now felt like a heartbeat from a system that had been dormant for too long. A system created with a purpose now, obscured by time and neglect. Luke compared the sound pattern to the technical manuals and archived documents he had painstakingly gathered earlier. He realized that the clicks weren't random static or a malfunction. Instead, they were an intentional sequence, a diagnostic routine, or even a programmed alert that had been designed to activate under specific conditions. The number sequence embedded between the clicks, something akin to XQ or XMB, repeated several times as if it were an index or a serial number associated with an event in the past, pouring over the handwritten nodes from HS Granger. Luke discovered a faint annotation, if triggered after renovation, verify for unexpected stimuli. Investigati immediately. He paused. The annotation stirring murmurs of the house's renovation and the unexpected death of HS late grandfather. Could it be that this device had been left active deliberately to monitor not only for security breaches but for something more profound, a subtle recording of disturbances, murmurs, or even echoes from that fateful period? The question sent a chill through him, determined to separate effect from his own mounting anxiety. Luke called his friend Paul Reynolds again for further clarification. Paul arrived later that night with a portable digital recorder and specialized software to analyze the target daily stated intently as the device's clicks merged with a frequency home that subtly fluctuated in volume. Paul noted, look, this isn't a random activation. I'm seeing bursts in the frequency that align perfectly with ambient temperature, drops and even minor shifts in structural vibration. It's as if the panel is recording environmental data. But oddly, it seems to emphasize periods of utter silence. Silence, an echo of the long, quiet nights when the baby monitor also picked up Charlie's soft, repetitive scratching near the crib. It suddenly struck Luke that perhaps the device was designed to monitor moments of stillness, moments when the house and the people in it were at their most vulnerable. Could these clicks have been recording not just anomalies in temperature or vibration, but also capturing an unexpected almost spectral record of the past? Every time he heard the sequence, Luke's mind raced with possibilities, disturbances from events long forgotten, or even, dare he think it, messages left behind by someone who once inhabited this house. As the night deepened, Paul and Luke spent hours isolating specific sound patterns. In one segment of the recording, the clicks paused for exactly 16 seconds, exactly as they hit last night, and 10 resumed with a slightly different tempo, almost like a whispered fallback signal. Luke's thoughts spiraled. Perhaps the system was meant to alert someone to a hidden recurrence, or maybe even to trigger further recordings that captured voices or movements. He shivered, realizing that what began as an atmosphere might actually be a CRY from the past, laden with secrets that his family had never known. Before he prepared to shoot down his equipment for the night, Luke took one fine look at the live audio feed. The red light on the panel blinked steadily, as if reassuring him that it was still active. In that moment, he vowed that he would not rest until he had unraveled every mystery encoded within those electronic pulses. The truth, however hidden and silent, was waiting to be understood, and Luke was determined to uncover it, no matter how deep it was buried in the darkness beneath his family's home. As he powered down the laptop and prepared to leave the nursery, the soft scratching of Charlie resumed in the background, an eerie reminder that the house was alive with secrets. And with that, Luke stepped into the night, which is resolved as firm as it would beneath his Feet. In the days that followed, look became increasingly consumed by the implications of the mysterious panel. The device's steady coded clicks hit revealed a secret that extended far beyond a simple security system. Malfunction. IT carried the weight of decades and was perhaps a unresolved tragedies from a bygone era. Determined to learn more, he dedicated every spare moment to analyzing the digital recordings and comparing theorem result, permits, architectural plans, and personal letters once hidden in the dusty corners of the family's archive. Late one evening, after the house hit grown silent, except for the occasional rustling of leaves outside and the soft, insistent scratching by Charlie near. Noah's creep looks at ADHS kitchen table with HS laptop open. The dim light of a desk lamp illuminated his furrowed brow as he meticulously played back the recorded audio. This time he adjusted the software settings until even the faintest sound was magnified. Amid the regular tick-tick-tick of the panel, subtle variations in RHYTHM emitted pauses that seemed to signal something additional, almost like an encoded time stamp. The sequence at random. It was as if the device was logging moments of deep stillness in the house or even marking moments when something unusual occurred. Look, recalled the handwritten note in red ink, and the cryptic annotation regarding the system's activation after renovation. The connection between that annotation and the recent activity now pressed on BCS mind. He wondered if the panel had been calibrated to monitor not just ambient noise but emotional or physical disturbances. What if the system were designed to record moments of extreme silence when the house was at its most vulnerable and store data about RM4? Reasons that went beyond simple maintenance. Each hypothesis sent a shiver down BCS spine, both thrilling and terrifying in its implications. Haunted by these questions, Luke reached out to Paul Reynolds once more. Paul, an expert in legacy security systems, arrived at the house with a small portable hard drive and an array of digital tools. Together, they connected the device to Paul's advanced diagnostics equipment. For hours, they watched us streams of binary code and fluctuating soundwave graphics danced across the screen. Paul's face grew serious as he explained that the panel's firmware was not simply a passive recorder, but appeared to be part of a network, one designed to send alerts if the measured values deviated significantly from a set baseline. It's as if the system is programmed to notice when the house is too quiet, Paul speculated. Anyway, it might have been meant to capture the ghosts of silence or even record events that were deliberately suppressed. The idea both fascinated and frightened. Look, he began to suspect that the panel might have captured more than sporadic noise and minor disturbances. In the digital logs, he discovered a series of entries from nights long past, some of which recorded inexplicable sounds, a faint whisper he couldn't quite decipher, a distant moan, even a soft, almost melodic hum that did not belong in a quiet suburban home. One log entry, dated just days after the house's renovation stood out, listening timestamp alongside a string of number errors and letters identical to the code he had first heard. That entry, however, included an additional note. Normal hours. Readings detected verify for human activity. Trepidation mingled with curiosity as Luke wondered what events this device had witnessed over the years. He called HS matter, who remembered that some errors had once maintained hearing strange sounds coming from their old family home, a detail long dismissed as the wind. Now, with concrete evidence in HS hints Look. Felt that all resolution was a distant. Echo of something far more significant. By early morning, as the sky began to lighten with the promise of a new day. Luke resolved that the next step was to preserve the log data and, if possible, integrate it with modern technology to decipher its full message. He planned to collaborate with a local university's computer science department, whose experts might help him crack the code hidden into systematic clicks. Meanwhile, Charlie continued his nightly routine, scratching persistently near the crib, as if trying to alert the family to the secret beneath the floor. A silent summons to uncover the past. Every tap of Charlie's claw against the wood now resonated with double meaning. A gentle reminder that some mysteries refused to remain buried. As Luke shut down his laptop that night, the eerie rhythmic clicking of the panel echoed in his ears like a heartbeat from the past, urging him to press forward. Determined and anxious, he knew his life was now irrevocably linked to the truth hidden beneath the floor, and he vowed that he would uncover every last secret, no matter how deep it was buried in darkness. The next morning, with a determined glint in his eyes, Luke visited the local university's computer science department. He had gathered all the digital files from the mysterious panel and the contractors nodes, determined to collaborate with experts who could help unlock its secrets. The campus was a boss with intellectual energy, a stark contrast to the quiet dread that he shrouded his home for days. In a small laboratory tucked away in a renovated wing, he met Dr. Laura Mills, a specialist in literacy systems and signal processing. Dr. Mills reviewed BCS recordings and the annotations from the archival folder with intense focus. "This is fascinating," she murmured, scrolling through the wave forums on her laptop. "What you've got here isn't a random malfunction.